I stood beside Brianna at her corporate gala, holding a glass of champagne I hadn't touched. The ballroom was full of her coworkers, all dressed in expensive suits and designer dresses. I wore the one good suit I owned, the same one I'd worn to 3 weddings and 2 funerals. Brianna was laughing with a group near the bar. Her supervisor, Derek, stood closest to her. Too close. His hand kept touching her lower back when he leaned in to speak. I was about to join them when I heard her voice carry over the music. "Oh, Dawson. He's just my stay-at-home nobody. I do all the real working around here." The group erupted in laughter. Derek grinned, raising his glass. "Must be nice having someone to handle the domestic stuff while you focus on your career." "It would be," Brianna said, "if he actually did anything impressive. But honestly, he's basically unemployed." More laughter. I stood frozen 10 feet away, champagne glass trembling in my hand. She hadn't seen me yet. None of them had. I forced myself to smile, to stay calm, to pretend my heart wasn't shattering in my chest. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. My name is Dawson Pryor. I'm 42 years old. And this is the night I realized my marriage was already over. I wasn't always the stay-at-home nobody. 6 years ago, I was an operations manager at a regional logistics company. Good salary, promising career trajectory. Then my father got sick. Alzheimer's, aggressive and fast-moving. My mother had passed years earlier. My sister lived overseas. I was the only one who could help. Brianna and I talked about it. She'd just gotten promoted to senior analyst. Her career was accelerating. We decided I'd step back temporarily, care for my father, handle things at home. "It's what partners do," she'd said, holding my hand. "We support each other." I believed her. My father lived another 2 years. By the time he passed, my old position had been filled. The company had downsized. The job market was brutal for someone with a 2-year gap. I tried, sent out hundreds of applications, got a few interviews. Nothing stuck. Brianna's attitude shifted gradually. First, it was gentle concern. Maybe try something different. Then frustration. "You're not trying hard enough." Then contempt. "You're comfortable being average." I kept trying, kept applying, kept hoping she'd see me as the man she'd married instead of the burden I'd become. But standing at that gala, hearing her mock me to impress her coworkers, I understood the truth. She didn't see me at all anymore. The morning after the gala, Brianna took a shower before work, left her phone on the kitchen counter, unlocked. I wasn't trying to snoop. It buzzed with a message, and I glanced down reflexively. "Derek, same hotel tonight?" I can't stop thinking about yesterday. My blood went cold. I stared at the screen, reading it again. Same hotel tonight. Not the first time. A pattern. A routine. Another message appeared. "Wear that blue dress." You know what it does to me? I picked up the phone with shaking hands. Scrolled up through their conversation. Weeks of messages. Flirting. Planning meetups. Photos I couldn't bring myself to look at closely. The shower was still running upstairs. I opened my email on my own phone, forwarded the conversation to myself. Screenshot after screenshot. Evidence of everything. When Brianna came downstairs 20 minutes later, hair wet, makeup perfect, I was making coffee like nothing had happened. "Morning," she said, not looking at me. "Morning." She grabbed her phone, checked it quickly, then kissed me on the cheek, a mechanical gesture devoid of feeling. "Late night tonight." "Work stuff." "Okay," I said. She left. I stood in the kitchen, coffee growing cold in my hand, trying to breathe normally. I didn't confront her. Didn't yell. Didn't break down. I just felt everything inside me collapse into something quiet and focused. Strategy. Not emotion. Strategy. That evening, I cooked dinner. Chicken, rice, vegetables. Set the table for 2 even though I knew she'd be late. She came home at 10:30 p.m., smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't mine. "Sorry, work ran late," she said, heading straight for the bedroom without eating. I followed her upstairs. "How was your day?" "Exhausting. Derek's pushing hard on this new project. Lots of after-hours meetings. Derek seems demanding." She paused, looking at me sharply. "He's a good manager." Unlike some people, he understands ambition. I nodded. I'm sure he does. She changed into pajamas, got into bed, turned away from me. Within minutes, she was asleep. I lay beside her in the dark, studying her silhouette. This woman I'd been married to for 11 years. This stranger. Part of me wanted to shake her awake, shove the evidence in her face, demand answers. But that would give her control. She'd cry, apologize, make promises. Or she'd get angry, defensive, turn it around on me somehow. No, I needed to be smarter than that. I needed to rebuild myself first. Then handle this on my terms. I got up quietly, went to my office, and made a list. First item, call Samuel Vega. Samuel Vega had been my mentor when I first started in logistics. Sharp, strategic, demanding, but fair. He'd left our company years ago to become so at a rapidly growing firm. I'd kept in touch sporadically. Christmas cards, occasional emails, always meaning to reconnect properly, but never finding the time. I called him the next morning after Brianna left for work. Dawson Pryor, he said immediately, his voice warm. I was wondering when you'd finally call. You were. I heard about your father. I'm sorry for your loss. And I heard you step back from work. Figured you'd reach out when you were ready to get back in. I exhaled, surprised by how much his confidence in me still mattered. I'm ready. If you have anything, come in next week. Let's talk. I've got a consulting project that needs someone with your brain. Part-time remote. See how it goes. Samuel, I appreciate this. Don't thank me yet. You're going to earn it. We scheduled a meeting. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not the desperate kind. The strategic kind. I spent the rest of the week preparing. Researched Samuel's company. Updated my resume. Studied current logistics trends. By the time the meeting came, I was ready. Samuel looked older, but sharper. We talked for 2 hours. He gave me a project brief. Show me what you've still got. I showed him. Within 3 days, I delivered a comprehensive analysis that solved the supply chain bottleneck they've been struggling with. Samuel called me. You're hired. Part-time consulting for now. Let's see where this goes. I started working from home, quietly. Set up my office while Brianna was at work. Took calls with my door closed. Kept everything discreet. When she came home, I'd be in the kitchen cooking or doing laundry. She'd glance at me with that familiar look of mild disappointment and head to her room. What did you do today? She'd ask occasionally, tone bored. Errands. Job applications. The usual. She'd nod, already looking at her phone, uninterested. She assumed I was still doing nothing. I let her believe it. The consulting work was challenging, engaging. I'd forgotten how good it felt to solve complex problems, to have my ideas valued, to be part of something bigger. Samuel kept giving me more responsibility. Introduced me to other team members via video calls. Started including me in strategic planning sessions. You've still got it, he said during one call. Better than ever, actually. There's a patience to your thinking now. Depth. Caring for my father taught me patience. Well, it's working. Keep this up, and we'll talk about something more permanent. At home, Brianna barely noticed me. She'd come home late most nights now. Always the same excuse. Always the same distant coldness. I documented everything. Times, dates, behavior patterns. Built a file of evidence without her knowing. Strategy, patience, preparation. The pattern became predictable. Brianna would leave for work at 7:30 a.m., come home around 10 p.m., same excuse every time. Work ran late. Big project. You know how it is, except I didn't know. Because she never told me details anymore. Never shared stories from her day. Never asked about mine. We became roommates who occasionally acknowledged each other. One Thursday evening, she came home at 11 p.m., later than usual. I was in the living room reading. Long night. I asked. Derek needed help finalizing a presentation for tomorrow. At 11 p.m., she shot me a look. Yes, Dawson. Some of us have demanding jobs that require flexibility. I wasn't criticizing. Sounded like it. She headed upstairs without another word. I pulled out my phone and made another note. Thursday, November 12th. Home at 11 p.m. Derek excuse. Defensive tone. The file was growing. Every late night, every week excuse, every moment of contempt documented. I wasn't doing this out of anger. I was doing it out of necessity. When this marriage finally collapsed, and I need proof, evidence, protection. Because I'd learned something over these months. Brianna wasn't just having an affair. She was building a narrative where I was the failure, the burden, the reason for her unhappiness. I wouldn't let that narrative stand unchallenged. I was at the grocery store on a Saturday afternoon when I overheard two women talking in the next aisle. Recognized one voice, Angela, one of Brianna's co-workers. Did you see the promotion list? Not officially, but I heard rumors. Brianna's name is on it. Associate director level. Really? Based on what? She's only been in her current role for 18 months. A pause. Then quietly, come on, Angela. You know why. Derek's been pushing for it. Oh. Understanding in that single syllable. I didn't realize it was that serious. Serious enough that HR is apparently watching. Multiple people have noticed. I stood frozen in the cereal aisle, card handle gripped tight. Brianna was getting promoted. Not because of her work. Because of Derek. The anger I'd been suppressing for weeks flared hot and immediate. Then, just as quickly, cooled into something sharper. Let her have her promotion. Let her build her career on Derek's favoritism. Let her think she's winning. Meanwhile, I'd build something real. Something earned through actual skill and effort. When everything collapsed, and she'd have nothing solid to stand on. I finished my shopping and drove home. Started dinner. Acted normal. Strategy. Patience. Preparation. Samuel called me into the office for the first time. A real, in-person meeting with senior leadership. I dressed carefully. The good suit, pressed shirt, polished shoes. Felt strange putting on professional clothes again after so long. The office was modern, glass and steel, bustling with purpose. Samuel introduced me to the executive team. CFO, VP of Operations, Head of Strategic Planning. We sat in a conference room. They presented a logistics crisis, a major client threatening to leave due to delivery delays. Dawson, you've been studying our systems. What do you see? I walked them through my analysis. Identified 3 bottlenecks in the supply chain. Proposed solutions that would cut delivery times by 30% and reduce costs by 15%. The room went quiet. Then the CFO leaned forward. How confident are you in these numbers? Very. I've modeled multiple scenarios. These are conservative estimates. Samuel smiled. Told you, he was good. They implemented my recommendations within 2 weeks. The client stayed. Delivery times improved exactly as I predicted. Samuel called me afterward. The board's impressed. We want to bring you on full-time. Director of Strategic Operations. Salary's competitive. Benefits included. What do you say? I say yes. One condition. Keep it low profile for now. We're restructuring, and I don't want word getting out until we're ready to announce new leadership. Understood. I hung up heart pounding. A real job. A real title. A real future. And Brianna had no idea. Our anniversary was November 28, 12 years married. I set the table that morning before she left for work. Candles, her favorite wine, flowers from the store. She rushed past without noticing. Late meeting tonight. Don't wait up. It's our anniversary. She paused at the door. Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot. This work thing is really important. We'll celebrate this weekend, okay? Okay. She left. The door closed. I stood there looking at the table I prepared, feeling hollow. She came home at midnight. I was still awake, reading in bed. How was the meeting? I asked. Exhausting. Derek's really pushing hard on this new initiative. She smelled like cologne again. Not hers. His. Long day, I said. You wouldn't understand. She changed and got into bed, back toward me. Probably not, I agreed quietly. She fell asleep within minutes. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling the last threads of whatever weed had finally snapped. The next morning, I called my divorce attorney for the first time. Not to file, just to consult, to understand my options. Bring documentation, the attorney said. Everything you have. I had plenty. Brianna announced she had a work dinner critical for her career on a Friday night. Got dressed up, the blue dress Derek had mentioned in his text. Don't wait up, she said, checking her reflection one final time. After she left, I waited 10 minutes. Then followed. I wasn't proud of it, but I needed to see for myself. Needed confirmation beyond text messages and late nights. She drove to the Riverside Hotel downtown, parked in the garage. I parked 3 levels up, watched from a distance. Derek was waiting in the lobby. They kissed immediately. Not a friendly greeting. A real kiss. His hands on her waist, her fingers in his hair. They went to the elevator together. His hand on her lower back, her leaning into him. I took photos. Clear, undeniable photos. Sat in my car afterward, breathing slowly, fighting the urge to storm inside and confront them. No, not yet. I drove home, uploaded the photos to my secure drive, added them to the evidence file. When Brianna came home at 2 a.m., I pretended to be asleep. She slipped into bed beside me, smelling like hotel soap and guilt. I lay there in the dark, calm and focused. Soon, but not yet. At work, my insights kept proving valuable. The supply chain crisis I'd solved led to another client retention and a 20% revenue increase for that division. Samuel pulled me into his office one afternoon. The board's talking about restructuring senior leadership. We need someone at the top who understands operations from the ground up. Someone like you. But we're not there yet. Keep doing what you're doing. Build credibility. Let your work speak. I can do that. I know you can. That's why I brought you in. Over the next weeks, I solved problem after problem. Streamlined processes. Cut costs. Improved efficiency. Did it all quietly, without fanfare, just solid work that produced results. The team respected me. Saw my input. Trusted my judgment. One junior analyst told me, "You explain things so clearly. Like you actually care about helping us understand." I did care. Because this work mattered. These people mattered. Unlike at home, where I'd become invisible. The contrast was stark. At work, I was valued. At home, I was dismissed. The decision about which world to invest in became obvious. Brianna sat me down one Sunday afternoon. Her expression was serious but not sad. Businesslike. "I think we should live separately for a while." I looked at her carefully. "Why?" "I need space to grow. Professionally and personally. I feel like I'm being held back. By me. By the situation. I need to focus on my career without distractions." Distractions. That's what I'd become. "If that's what you want," I said calmly. She blinked, surprised. "You're not going to fight this? Would it change your mind?" "No. I've already made my decision." "Then there's nothing to fight about." She studied me, confused by my composure. "I thought you'd be more upset." "I'm processing." "Well, okay. I'll start looking for an apartment. I like to move out in the next month." "Take your time." After she left the room, I sat there feeling strangely relieved. She just made this easier. Initiated the separation herself. No ambiguity about who left whom. I called my attorney. She wants to separate. What's my next move? Let her move out. Document the date. We'll file after she's established separate residence. Makes the case cleaner. Understood. Strategy. Patience. Preparation. Everything was falling into place. I met with the divorce attorney in person the following week. Brought my entire evidence file. Printed copies of text messages, photos from the hotel, documentation of late nights, timeline of behavioral changes. The attorney, a sharp woman named Ms. Brennan, reviewed everything methodically. "This is thorough," she said finally. "Very thorough. You've documented not just infidelity, but a clear pattern of abandonment and contempt. Will it matter? In this state, yes. Especially combined with the fact that you took time off work for elder care, which courts recognize as legitimate career interruption. You're in a very strong position. What about the house? You bought it before marriage?" "Yes. It's only in my name." then it's separate property. She has no claim. And given that she's initiating the separation while employed and having an affair, you're unlikely to owe alimony. I felt something loosen in my chest. So I'm not starting from nothing. Far from it. You've prepared well, Mr. Pryor. Most people come to me emotional and disorganized. You came with a strategy. I had good motivation. After the meeting, I drove to a park and sat on a bench, watching people jog past, families playing with dogs, life continuing normally around me. For the first time in months, I felt hope. Real, tangible hope. This wasn't going to destroy me. I was going to survive this. Thrive, even. Brianna thought she was escaping into something better. She had no idea what she was walking into. Rumors started circulating at Brianna's workplace. I heard about it through Angela, who I'd run into at the coffee shop. She approached me hesitantly. Dawson, I probably shouldn't say this, but I thought you should know. People are talking about Brianna and Derek. What are they saying? That the relationship is inappropriate. That her promotion wasn't earned. HR is apparently looking into it. When did this start? A few weeks ago. Someone filed an anonymous complaint. After she left, I sat with my coffee processing. The house of cards was starting to wobble. Brianna came home that night looking stressed. Everything okay? I asked. Fine. Just office politics. Anything I can help with? She laughed bitterly. Unless you have suddenly developed corporate strategy skills, no? I nodded, said nothing, went back to cooking dinner. Let her think I was clueless. Let her think I couldn't help. Meanwhile, her world was quietly beginning to collapse around her, and mine was quietly being built stronger. Derek made promises to Brianna. I knew because I could hear her phone conversations when she thought I wasn't listening. When I take over the division, you'll be right beside me. Associate director, guaranteed. She believed him. Bet her entire future on him. But Derek's promotion wasn't certain. The investigation into their relationship was ongoing. The board was reconsidering his advancement. Brianna didn't know this. Or maybe she did and was in denial. Either way, she was building her career on a foundation of sand. I was building mine on actual skill and results. One evening, she came home angry. Derek's promotion is being delayed. Some bureaucratic nonsense. That's frustrating. He deserves it. He's worked so hard. I bit my tongue. Said nothing. What? She snapped. You have an opinion. No. Just listening. You're never supportive. I looked at her. Really looked at her. I've been nothing but supportive for 6 years, Brianna. You're the one who stopped seeing it. She stormed upstairs without responding. I went back to my work. Had a strategic planning presentation to prepare for tomorrow's executive meeting. My real work. My real future. Samuel called me into his office on a cold December morning. The board approved the restructuring. I'm moving to CEO, and I want you as CO. I stared at him. Chief Operating Officer, you've earned it. Your work speaks for itself. The team respects you. The numbers don't lie. You're the right choice. Samuel, I don't know what to say. Say yes. Yes. Official announcement comes in 6 weeks. We're doing a formal corporate banquet, introducing new leadership. You'll need to be there. I'll be there. And Dawson, this stays quiet until then. No social media. No telling family. We control the narrative. Understood. I drove home in a daze. Cool. Chief Operating Officer. A position I'd never imagined reaching. Brianna was sitting on the couch when I arrived. How was your day? She asked, barely looking up from her phone. Fine. Yours. Busy. Still doing nothing then? She added, that familiar contempt in her voice. Pretty much, I said. Let her think that. Let her believe I was still the stay-at-home nobody. The truth would reveal itself soon enough. The invitations went out in January. A formal corporate banquet to introduce new leadership at my company. The venue was the Grand Riverside Hotel, the same hotel where Brianna's company held their events. Same night, coincidentally, as Brianna's company holiday party. Samuel mentioned it during a planning meeting. Might be crowded that night. The logistics firm next door is having an event too. I checked. That logistics firm was Brianna's employer. The universe had aligned perfectly. I said nothing, just accepted my invitation and waited. Brianna mentioned her company party a week later. Big event. Derek says it's important I'm there. Good for visibility. Sounds important. You're not invited. It's employees only. That's fine. She looked at me suspiciously. You're being weird. Too agreeable. I'm just trying not to fight. She shrugged and went back to packing for the apartment she just rented. Moving out in 3 days. Everything was timing perfectly. She'd be gone before the banquet. Establish separate residence. Clean break. The divorce papers were already drafted, waiting for the right moment. Strategy. Patience. Perfect timing. The night of the banquet arrived cold and clear. I dressed in my best suit, knew this time tailored properly, expensive but worth it. Brianna had moved out 2 weeks earlier. The house felt empty but peaceful. I drove to the Grand Riverside Hotel, parked in the executive lot, and walked in through the main entrance. The ballroom was elegant. Round tables, crystal chandeliers, hundreds of executives from across the industry. Samuel found me immediately. Ready, as I'll ever be. Your wife's company is next door. Did you know? I heard. She doesn't know about your position, does she? No. He smiled. This should be interesting. I spotted Brianna across the lobby, walking toward her company's ballroom. She was with Derek, his hand on her back, both dressed formally. She glanced my direction, did a double take. Confusion crossed her face. I simply nodded. Professional. Distant. She whispered something to Derek, but they kept walking. I entered my banquet hall. Found my seat at the head table, right beside Samuel. The evening began. Dinner was served. Speeches started. And through the walls, I could hear applause from the event next door. Our worlds, separated by drywall, about to collide. The doors between the ballrooms opened during the networking hour. Both companies mingling, executives introducing themselves across organizations. Brianna entered our ballroom with Derek and several coworkers. She was laughing, confident, playing the part of rising executive. Then she saw me, seated at the head table, surrounded by senior leadership. Her laughter stopped. She stared, trying to process why I was there. I stood, excused myself from conversation, and walked toward the stage where Samuel was preparing to speak. Brianna intercepted me halfway. Dawson, what you doing here? Working. At this event. Yes. For who? Did you get hired as catering staff? The condescension in her voice was automatic, reflexive. Something like that, I said and kept walking. She grabbed my arm. Wait, seriously, what's going on? Samuel's voice boomed over the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention. The room quieted. Brianna released my arm, looking between me and the stage. Tonight, we celebrate new leadership. Our company has grown beyond expectations, and that growth requires vision at the highest level. Brianna was watching Samuel, still confused about why I was here. It's my honor to introduce someone who embodies that vision. Someone who rebuilt himself when life knocked him down. Someone whose strategic mind has transformed our operations. I started walking toward the stage. Please welcome our new Chief Operating Officer, Dawson Pryor. The room erupted in applause. I walked onto the stage, shook Samuel's hand, turned to face the crowd. Brianna stood frozen in the middle of the ballroom. Her mouth open, face pale. Derek beside her looking equally shocked. Her co-workers whispered around her. I saw Angela's expression shift from surprise to understanding to something like sympathy. I stepped to the microphone, calm and composed. Thank you, Samuel, and thank you to everyone here tonight. 6 years ago, I stepped away from my career to care for my father. Many people told me that gap would end my professional future, that I'd become irrelevant. I paused, let that sink in. But sometimes stepping back isn't failure. It's preparation. It teaches you patience, perspective, and what really matters. Those lessons made me better at this job than I ever would have been otherwise. More applause. I saw Brianna push through the crowd toward the exit. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Grateful to Samuel for believing in me. And grateful for the team that welcomed me back. Together, we're going to build something remarkable. The applause was genuine warm. I stepped down from the stage, shook hands with board members and colleagues. Brianna was gone, but Derek stood near the bar, staring at me with something between respect and fear. He knew that I knew that everything was about to change. I nodded at him once, professional, then turned back to my colleagues. The night continued. Networking, celebration, congratulations. And outside, Brianna's world was crumbling. Brianna cornered me in the hotel lobby as the event was ending. You set me up. You humiliated me on purpose. I didn't set up anything. I got a job, built a career. Same as you. You knew I'd be here. You planned this. The events were scheduled separately. I didn't plan the timing. Her face twisted with anger. You let me believe you were doing nothing. You lied. I never lied. You assumed. You stopped asking. You stopped seeing me at all. This is harassment. I'll file a complaint. I'll tell HR you're using your position to intimidate me. I haven't intimidated anyone. I've been nothing but professional. But if you'd like to involve HR and attorneys, I'm prepared for that conversation. She stared at me, realizing I wasn't the person she'd left behind. Everything that happened tonight, I said quietly, you chose. You chose to mock me. You chose to have an affair. You chose to leave. I just chose to survive. She opened her mouth to respond, but Derek called her name from across the lobby. Looking nervous, urgent, she glanced between us, then hurried away. I walked to my car, drove home, changed into comfortable clothes. Sat in my quiet house, my house that she had no claim to, and felt peace. Not triumph. Not revenge. Just peace. The truth was out now. Everything else would follow naturally. The HR investigation hit 2 days later. Someone, I never found out who, reported Brianna and Derek's relationship formally. Included evidence of favoritism, inappropriate meetings, policy violations. The company launched the full investigation. Interviewed witnesses. Pulled records. Brianna panicked. Called me crying. They're going to fire me. Derek's already been suspended. This is all falling apart. I'm sorry. Are you? You seem pretty calm about destroying my career. I didn't destroy anything. You built this situation. I just stopped protecting you from it. She tried another angle. Claimed to friends I'd been abusive, controlling, that she'd left to escape. Tried to gain sympathy, rewrite history. But my attorney had prepared for this. We had documentation. Witnesses. Evidence of my actual behavior versus her claims. Every attempt she made to paint herself as victim collapsed under scrutiny. Derek transferred out of state within a month. Took a demotion to escape the scandal. Brianna was demoted, then quietly let go during the next restructuring. Performance issues, the official line said. She tried to fight it. Filed complaints. Threatened legal action. Every attempt went nowhere. The evidence was too clear. 3 months after the banquet, she was unemployed, living in a small apartment she could barely afford, her reputation in the industry damaged. While I was thriving, leading teams, making decisions, building something meaningful. The contrast couldn't have been starker. The divorce finalized in March. Clean, simple, straightforward. I kept the house. No alimony. No ongoing financial obligations. Just division of minor shared assets and done. Ms. Brennan called with the final news. It's over. Signed, sealed, filed. You're officially single. Thank you for everything. You made it easy by being prepared. Most clients are a disaster. You were organized, calm, strategic. I had good motivation. After hanging up, I walked through my house. The house Brianna had left. The house that was now fully, completely, only mine. I'd repainted the bedroom. Replaced furniture. Made it mine again. Started having colleagues over for dinner parties. Hosted my team for planning sessions. Turned the space into somewhere warm and welcoming. Life moved forward. Work thrived. I got promoted again within the year, VP of Operations. Samuel joked about me taking his CEO position someday. I started dating again. Nothing serious at first. Just coffee dates, testing the waters, remembering what it felt like to be valued. Met someone kind, genuine, who saw me as I actually was. Slowly, carefully, life became good again. Better than it had been in years. Not because I'd gotten revenge, but because I'd built something real. I saw Brianna one last time, a year after everything ended. I was having lunch downtown with colleagues, celebrating a successful quarter. Walking back to the office, laughing about something ridiculous. She was across the street, looking older, tired, dressed professionally, but not expensively. Saw me and froze. I could have kept walking, pretended not to see her. But I stopped, crossed the street, approached her. Brianna, Dawson. Her voice was small, defeated. How are you? I'm managing. Got a new job. Admin position. It's fine. That's good. You look happy. I am. She swallowed hard. I was wrong. About everything. About you. I'm sorry. I looked at this woman I'd once loved. Felt nothing but distant sympathy. I appreciate that. Do you think, could we ever? She trailed off, seeing the answer in my face. No. But I hope things work out for you. Really? She nodded, tears in her eyes. You became everything I said you couldn't be. I became what I always was. You just stopped looking. I touched her shoulder once gently, then walked away. Back to my colleagues. Back to my life. Back to the future I'd built from nothing but determination and honest work. Brianna had called me a stay-at-home nobody. She tried to erase me, to make me invisible, to rewrite my worth. But I didn't need her validation anymore. Didn't need her approval. Didn't need her to see me. I saw myself, and that was enough. I returned to my team, laughing at someone's joke, planning the afternoon strategy session. Life moved forward with momentum I'd earned, respect I'd built, peace I'd fought for. That evening, I drove home through the city I'd once felt lost in. Past the hotel where Brianna had betrayed me. Past the coffee shop where I'd overheard her co-workers gossiping. Past every landmark of my lowest moments. None of it hurt anymore. They were just buildings. Just places where things had happened. The pain had transformed into lessons, into strength, into clarity about who I was and what I deserved. At home, I changed into comfortable clothes and went to my office. Had a presentation to finish for tomorrow's board meeting. Samuel wanted my input on a potential acquisition. My phone buzzed. A message from the woman I'd been seeing. Dinner tomorrow? My place. I smiled and replied yes. Life wasn't perfect. Still had challenges, still had moments of doubt, still had work to do on myself. But it was mine. Built on truth, earned through effort, grounded in self-respect. Brianna had taught me something valuable, even if she'd done it cruelly. She taught me that people's opinions of you matter far less than your own opinion of yourself. I've been so desperate for her approval that I've forgotten my own worth. Forgotten that I was capable, skilled, valuable, with or without her recognition. The dissolution of our marriage had been painful, but it had also been necessary. A forest fire that cleared dead growth so new life could emerge. I worked until midnight, then made myself dinner. Simple meal, nothing fancy. Sat at my kitchen table in comfortable silence. No one mocking me. No one dismissing me. No one making me feel small. Just peace. Hard-earned, well-deserved peace. 2 years after the divorce, I was named CEO. Samuel retired, recommended me as his successor. The board agreed unanimously. My first act was establishing a company program supporting employees with caregiving responsibilities. Flexible schedules, extended leave options, resources for those caring for aging parents or sick family members. No one should have to choose between career and family, I told the board. And no one should be punished for choosing family first. The program was approved. Became a model other companies studied and adopted. I built a team culture around respect, genuine merit, supporting each other through difficulties. The company thrived because people felt valued. Several employees approached me privately, sharing their own stories. Single parents balancing work and kids. Adults caring for elderly relatives. People dealing with personal crises while trying to maintain professional lives. Thank you for understanding. One woman told me, tears in her eyes. My last company made me feel like a burden. Here, I feel like a person. That meant more than any profit margin or stock price. I dated seriously for the first time in years. Met someone who saw my past not as failure, but as evidence of character. Someone who valued loyalty, patience, resilience. We took things slow. No rush. Building something solid on honest foundation. Life became full in ways it hadn't been even before Brianna. Fuller, actually. Because I'd learned to value the right things. Success wasn't about titles or salaries or impressing people. It was about integrity, about building things that mattered, about treating people with dignity. Brianna had called me a stay-at-home nobody because she measured worth in money and status. I learned to measure it in character and impact. One Sunday afternoon, I was having coffee with Samuel, now retired and consulting part-time. "You know what I'm proudest of?" he asked. "What?" "That I saw what you were capable of when you'd forgotten it yourself. That's what mentorship is. Reminding people of their own strength. You saved me. No, I just gave you an opportunity. You saved yourself. And now you're doing the same for others." I thought about that drive home. About the scared, broken man I'd been 2 years ago. About the journey from that place to this one. It hadn't been revenge that healed me. It had been rebuilding. Choosing to create instead of destroy. Choosing to prove myself to myself rather than to Brianna. When she'd said I was a nobody, she'd meant it as an insult. But being nobody to her had freed me to become somebody to myself. And that was the greatest gift she could have accidentally given me. The house was quiet when I arrived home that evening. But it was a comfortable quiet. A chosen quiet. I made dinner, worked on a hobby woodworking project in the garage, read for an hour before bed. Simple life. Grounded life. Honest life. No performance. No pretending. No desperate need for external validation. Just me. Fully myself. Finally comfortable in my own skin. Before sleep, I thought about Brianna one last time. Not with anger or bitterness. Just with understanding. She'd been chasing something she thought would make her happy. The chase had destroyed her. I'd been building something I knew would make me stable. The building had saved me. Different approaches. Different values. Different outcomes. I didn't need to hate her to be free of her. I just needed to live well. Honestly. Purposefully. And I was. The bedroom was dark and peaceful. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new moments to prove my worth, not to anyone else but to myself. I closed my eyes and slept soundly. The stay-at-home nobody had become a CEO. But more importantly, the man who'd forgotten his worth had remembered it. And once you remember that, once you truly internalize your own value, no one can take it from you again. Not a dismissive spouse. Not a corporate scandal. Not failure or setback or public humiliation. Your worth is yours. Internal. Unshakable. I'd learned that lesson in the hardest way possible. But I'd learned it completely. And I'd never forget it again.